fires still raging across the inland Northwest. We are tracking the areas impacted. Plus, we'll hear from one woman who lost her home in the Crescent Road fire.
Cool and rainy to start the weekend, but by the end of it, we're talking sunshine.
President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin meet in Alaska today to discuss ending the war in Ukraine. We'll bring you the latest news following their meeting. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We start at this hour with a check of the weather with KREM 2's chief meteorologist Jeremy Legoo standing by in the Outdoor Weather Center. Jeremy, the little bit of rain we got today and the cooler temperatures, certainly a welcome sight for fire crews as they continue to work across the inland Northwest.
Even better news is that we have more in the forecast tomorrow. It's not enough to really ruin the weekend, just enough to give us some much needed moisture on the ground and in the atmosphere. Atmospheric moisture makes a difference. Today is a great day for firefighters, not just because of the rain, but because of the atmospheric moisture as well. 43% humidity means all of those little embers or little quick flames burn out a lot easier because there's enough moisture in the atmosphere to actually make a difference. Tomorrow, we tap into some of that moisture in the atmosphere with our incoming cold front. It sits just off the coast, and as it moves in, we will wind up seeing the rain by early tomorrow morning. Most of us don't really see it until the time the sun comes up and we get our days going, and most of us are done with it by about noon. So here in Spokane, I think we are, I wouldn't call it slow, but just a nice steady rain through the first half of the day. Eventually it moves up into the mountains by tomorrow afternoon. It's a couple of stray showers and maybe an isolated rumble of thunder before it's back to sunshine by the time it sets tomorrow night. Sunday, even sunnier. So it's really just tomorrow. And tomorrow is not looking that bad. 75 degrees with a little morning rain. 81 on Sunday, 82 on Monday, so we're back to sunshine and summer warmth as soon as the rain is done.
All right, sounds good. Jeremy will check back in with you later in the show. In Bonner County tonight, the Sunset Fire burning northeast of Athol has now grown to more than 1,800 acres. This led the Bonner County Sheriff to expand evacuation orders. So here is a look at those Go Now evacuation orders. If you live in Ponderosa, Jump Line Landing, or Five Lakes Estate, you need to evacuate right now. That fire has now more than doubled in size since yesterday. It is still 0% contained. We know so far at least 3 structures have been destroyed. There was also an evacuation center at Kokolala Bible Camp for displaced residents, and the Bonner County Fairgrounds is serving and open for evacuated livestock on a limited basis. Meanwhile, in Whitman County, containment is increasing on the Central Ferry fire. That's the fire that exploded in size from 600 to more than 6,000 acres in less than 24 hours. Firefighters now report they have it about 40% contained. The area between State Route 127 and Lake Bryan is under level 2 get set evacuation orders as of right now. Now to an update on a string of fires that started at Mirabou Park yesterday. The Spokane Valley Fire Department is investigating these fires as suspicious. The department believes the fires at Mirabou Park are linked to other fires along the Centennial Trail.
Countywide resources are working together to put an end to this before we have a loss of life or major loss of property.
The Sheriff's Office, Spokane Valley Fire, and the Police Department are meeting to go over the findings each agency has so far. Police did arrest one suspect last week for allegedly starting 2 fires along the Centennial Trail. Tonight, evacuations are downgraded for much of the area near the Crescent Road fire in Lincoln and Spokane counties. The fire is estimated to be at just under 900 acres, but those who live closest to the flames still can't return, including one woman who says her home was the first to burn. KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy has her story tonight.
It started with a text from a neighbor, 911.
As soon as we rounded the corner on Long Lake Road, we knew it was going to be devastating.
Morgan Walters says she and her boyfriend raced to their home in the Devil's Gap area with time only to load some tools and her 5 dogs before firefighters told them they had to go.
By the time we got to the bottom of the mountain, they said, "Your house is gone." It happened that quick.
Well, that's a wrap.
The Crescent Road fire took everything on the property she'd only been on for 3 months, living in a shed home until they could build their dream oasis.
Green and lush and gorgeous, and unfortunately, fuel for the fire. It's hard because we had the plans, we had certain things mapped out, and now with everything gone, it's just a blank slate, which, I mean, blank canvas, but...
It was supposed to be this artist's mountain escape. Now, gone.
Completely.
Walters had been on the ridge for such a short time, she hadn't even met some of her neighbors until they escaped together and watched it burn.
Everybody was sitting down and just pointing, well, that's this person's property, that's this person, well, that's yours right there. And yeah,
Watching it burn.
there was nothing else you could do.
Walters says it was a different life on the mountain, so rugged, none of her property was insurable. She says it'll be the support of the community that will bring the mountain back.
We just hug each other and we're like, okay, here we go. We know we got this. And
Shannon Mowdy,
that's all you can do really in those situations.
KREM 2 News.
Idaho's first reported death caused by the West Nile virus this year was identified in an elderly Twin Falls County resident. Idaho Deputy State Epidemiologist Dr. Kathy Turner said, quote, "This tragic death from West Nile virus is a good reminder for all of us to take protective measures against mosquito bites. Wear long sleeves and pants outside and use insect repellent. Around your home and yard, reduce standing water where mosquitoes can lay their eggs." 7 southern Idaho counties and 1 Oregon county have detected West Nile virus activity in mosquitoes. A second case of the measles was reported in Idaho in less than a week. Eastern Idaho Public Health says the recent case was found in an unvaccinated child in Bonneville County. The child reportedly came into contact with an international traveler who also had measles. The first measles case was reported earlier this week in Kootenai County, also in an unvaccinated child. We now know when the memorial service for a Spokane County Sheriff's Sergeant who was killed in the line of duty will take place. The service for Sergeant Ken Salas is set to take place at the Spokane Convention Center this Wednesday at 1 p.m. The Sheriff's Office tells us the service is open to the public, and they plan to announce the route for the memorial service procession in the coming days. If you would like to donate to support the Salas family, we have a link to do so on our website. Just head to KREM.com. And happening soon, a New Zealand mother and her son from Everett are expected to be released from ICE custody. Sarah Shaw and her 6-year-old son were detained at the U.S.-Canada border 3 weeks ago. Her lawyer says it was due to a clerical error. Shaw and her son were held in Texas, which her lawyer says made it more difficult to resolve the case.
Had Sarah been able to be detained over here in Tacoma, her lawyer would have had a much easier time representing her. Things would have moved a lot more quickly. But unfortunately, we spent the first week and a half even trying to verify that Isaac and Sarah, they were in fact detained because they were never placed in the locator system.
Sarah and her son are expected to be released sometime today. All right, still ahead on KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin met today in Alaska to talk about ending the war in Ukraine. We'll bring you the latest comments from the U.S. president. And after the break, we preview fun events for this weekend happening all across the inland Northwest.